Hello, everybody. Welcome back to E20 Zone TV, the After Hours show. It's been so hot over the weekend. I thought let's do an After Hours one with the boys. To my right is Lucas, and down the bottom there is Fabrizio Romano, aka West Ham Online. Lucas, how are you doing, mate?
I am all good. Happy Father's Day to anyone celebrating, and hail Croatia. Let's get the job done.
West Ham
and
Online.
the USA today.
West Ham Online, aka Fabriziano. How are you doing?
Fuming. I can't believe what I've just seen on Twitter. Apparently, €96 million fee agreed for Rice from Fabrizio. I've seen on Twitter.
Yeah, aka from your account, bub. We all know it's you, mate. You know what I mean? You ain't even got to lie about it. But we're going to talk about that man you've just mentioned, Mr. Declan Rice saga. But where do I begin with this for you lads? Right, for me, this is going well over the top in the last sort of 24, 48 hours. I see some stuff on AFTV today, DR Sports. I just see something a little while ago. What do you make of what you see the other day, Lucas?
I saw the video today. I only watched about 5 minutes before I got just really annoyed and irritated by that one guy. I have no idea what his name is. The one that isn't Robbie, but he just talks.
No, Gunnar
Lee, that's it. Yeah.
He just talks shit. He literally has no idea what he's talking about. This is literally the same guy, and I don't know him, but I've seen his tweets every now and again. But this is the same guy that has been saying all season that Xhaka and Partey are better than Rice, and then he's saying Rice is going to take them up another level once if Partey and Xhaka's obviously leaving. So how can I don't understand the guy. I think he's an absolute idiot. But the saga itself has been very interesting. I've said for a couple weeks now, I really think Arsenal are going to bottle it because it's just what they do, and this is why I don't feel bad for him. I mean, even if I was on the outside looking in, I wouldn't feel bad for him because they know exactly where they messed up. You know how much we want for him. You come in with an £80 million bid plus add-ons, and you try to pay it off in 6 installments of £13.5 million a year, which is an absolute disgrace if that's true.
That's an insult.
And they're just going to keep going up by 10, it feels like. And they're only doing this to themselves. And if they do lose out to City, and I'm still not sure if Rice wants to go to City. I'm sure Rice does want to go to Arsenal. He wants to stay in London. But I mean, if Man City come, I feel like he's not going to really turn them down. But I really hope they bottle it to City, Arsenal. I really do, again, because they're just an ignorant bunch. Even Robbie, I don't have a problem with Robbie, but even he just is I wouldn't say he's snidey, but he just has that Arsenal perspective that's just so ignorant at times. Where it's I hate the way the Big Six think, and that other guy, whatever his name is, absolute waste, man.
I'm going to say my bit before I hand it over to West Ham Online, aka Arsenal Online. For me, I think it's an absolute insult. First off, what that geezer said about West Ham being crap, we've generated some of the best players that West Ham's ever produced in their lifetime. Rio Ferdinand was a world-class defender, he was back in the day. Lampard was a very, very good player. Joe Cole, Carrick, Defoe, Glenn Johnson. That's to name a few. And if you want to go back further than that, Bobby Moore, Jeff Hurst. Do you know what I mean? Some of these players who helped win England the World Cup in '66. I don't like it when fans turn around and say that West Ham's a small club, and it's coming from our own fans, because you see how many was on the streets of East London after on the parade. Yeah, West Ham have got a big fan base. Yeah, but we've never had an owner to match our ambitions at the end of the day. So what that geezer was coming out was absolute pony, really. How Nicky Hawkins kept his cool, I don't know, because he must have patience of a saint, that man. I will say that. But you know what? I agree with what you said about Robbie. I think Robbie's all right. I think he's a nice geezer, but it just seems like 6 months ago, Declan Rice was shit. right? In Arsenal fans' eyes, £60 million he's worth. Now he's world class. All of a sudden, he's going to go to Arsenal and become world class.
It makes entirely no sense the way they think. They literally just talk shit to talk shit, and if something does happen to go their way, then they just start to like praise anything. Really, it's so annoying, and like just the arrogance of them to like talk the way they do when this is the first time they finished top 4 in 7 years. Like. They like, to me, they really aren't shit to me. Like, do they have a little history? Yeah, but such a disgusting club, disgusting support. I really, truly hate them.
WestHamOnline. Why should Declan Rice go to Arsenal?
We can say what we want about the fans, and I agree. The way that I don't really care because it's only football debate about how big a club is and all of this. I'm not too bothered whether an Arsenal fan thinks we're a big club, but I do agree what he said was a bit out of touch. Nevertheless, I think, as I've said on numerous platforms, on numerous occasions, I think Arsenal is the right move for Declan Rice in every sense of the word. And I think it's the move he wants and it's the move he will get.
But why though, WestHamOnline? That's the problem. Right? When I look at their fan base literally ripping into him already, he ain't even got an Arsenal shirt on yet. Like, listen, we shouldn't care as fans where Declan goes. We really shouldn't.
Yeah.
Right? But we do because of what he's done.
I agree with Alfie. I think Arsenal, like, do I think it's the best move? In my opinion, no, but I can see why he'd want to go. I do think it's an enticing project to be a part of because he has a bunch of players his age who are really good. They just finished where they did, even though they bottled the league. And I can see why he wants to go there. But in my opinion, I still don't think it should be the move he wants because after what he said about winning trophies, yada, 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 I feel
it makes no sense. It makes no sense to me.
He should push for City. But again, I agree with wanting to go to Arsenal because the project seems decent, but that's not a guarantee. And it contradicts a little bit what he wants, in my opinion, because do I think Arsenal could right away win an FA Cup or a League Cup? Probably, but they're not winning the Champions League. They're definitely not pushing for the title again, in my opinion. Next season, at least.
It's not a good project, in my opinion. I think Arsenal have done well last season.
I don't know.
Right. But if you look at Newcastle's project from 12 months ago to now, who would you say is at the better project? It took Arsenal, 4 years to get where they are? It took Newcastle a year.
Yeah, but it's different ends of things.
Well, what's the difference then? Explain to me the difference between Newcastle and Arsenal.
Arsenal definitely have more chance of finishing above Newcastle next season. And let's not forget, Arsenal have got a great project. I think I agree with a lot of what Lucas said there. I do think they kind of bottled the league. But then again, it's a young side. It's the first time they've been in the title race in a long time. And I can completely see why Rice would want to go there. I think Robbie made the point on AFTV, which I completely agree with. It's like when Van Dijk moved to Liverpool. Van Dijk came into Liverpool and he was like the final piece of the jigsaw to bring Liverpool back. And for me, I think if you asked Van Dijk, does he regret not going to Man City over Liverpool? He'd say no. I think if you're Rice, it will be more special. You'll be looked at as a better player. You'll build your legacy higher if you win stuff with Arsenal in comparison to if you go to a treble winning Man City side where you're not guaranteed to play. So I think the Arsenal move's the perfect fit. I think he starts every week. I think he's a future Arsenal captain, whether we like it or not. Money-wise, it's good as well, and he gets to stay in London.
Completely utterly disagree with the pairs. You go to Manchester City, you work under the best manager on the planet. Simple as that. Yeah, you go there. Them Manchester fans will adore Declan Rice. Arsenal fans will turn on Declan Rice at a drop of an hat.
That I do agree with.
Yeah, as soon as it ain't going right, they will throw Declan Rice under the bus and say he's look at how much money we've wasted on this man. Yeah, and he ain't right if he has a few bad games. And listen, hold on. Right, let me just land on this. Yeah, for how much we all love Declan Rice, this last season wasn't his best year at West Ham, and that's coming from me. I've seen him play better before that. So it's easy to say, "Oh, we go to Arsenal, you're going to win trophies." I don't see who stops City at the minute. I really don't. Right? Whoever's going to finish above City, they're going to have a lot more firepower than what City have got. Do you know what I mean? And City have got a man up front who's a machine. And if like at the end of the day, Declan wants to go and win trophies, that I'll keep hearing. Yeah, he ain't going to win them at Arsenal. I know that for certain. He 100% will not. Manchester United have won more trophies in the mud, and Manchester United are in the mud currently than Arsenal. And that's a fact.
But Arsenal, you can say they didn't win a trophy this season, which is a fair point. But Man United weren't in the title race. Arsenal they risked the FA and Carabao Cup to focus on the title race, a risk which didn't end up paying off because, well, you could say they bottled the league. They will definitely win trophies next year, especially if they expand their squad and make it. So
you got Manchester United who won the Carabao Cup, got to the final of the FA Cup, lost arguably one of the best players of all time in Cristiano Ronaldo. Had a hectic start at the start of the season when they were getting battered by teams. It was Ten Hag's first season. He's got to 2 cup finals and finished in the Champions League. He's still done more than what Arsenal have done. But
I still believe Arsenal are in the better position going into next season.
The difference is you believe it. What I'm saying is I've seen it. I have seen it.
It's not believe. It's 100% definite. Arsenal are a much better football team than Man United at the moment. Not even comparable. I wouldn't rate forward. At the end, quite poor still. They play transition ball. Still, at the moment, got De Gea in goal, which is disgraceful in itself. Their wingers can't score goals. They don't score a lot of goals, Man United. The only reason they finished that high was 1 or 2 nil clean sheets, actually playing a deep block. So they're never going to be in the title race playing the way they played last year. And that sort of style can work in cup competitions. Moyes has shown it. Playing a deep block, you can get far.
United did get a bit lucky last season. I think their goal differential wasn't even. I think it was like 12.
Yeah, it was shocking.
But at the end of the day, Arsenal have failed twice. If you want to get real, then we're going to get real in this.
I know you don't get a trophy for finishing second, but I mean, I don't know. I hate Arsenal, but I see the appeal.
Yeah, but no one's going to remember Arsenal's title charge in 10 years' time.
Yes, we know that, but we're talking about Declan Rice, where he wants to go and why he wants to go.
You go, Lucas.
I think again, I don't want him to go to Arsenal because I hate them, but like they've got the better players than United. They're a lot younger who have the potential to get a lot better. Arteta is on a bit of an uptick, like a little uptick, because I think he's a decent manager. I don't rate him as much as Alfie does, but that's fair play to him. But he's on a bit of a rise. But I don't want him to go there. But like Arsenal just seem like a good fit.
I've got to
not for winning trophies, not for winning trophies. What he wants to do, because he's.
Yeah, but there's no guarantee that Arsenal are going to win the Premier League. There is none.
You've got to take risks as a footballer. If trophies were guaranteed, then football would be a bit boring, wouldn't it?
What it is, but you don't go to somewhere for a project where there's a fear that you don't win anything. Now, just say for example, let's use this as an example right now. Yeah, he goes to Arsenal next season. He does not win anything, right? Yeah. He would have done more with his West Ham career than he'd done with Arsenal career, right, at that stage. And the problem is
after a year, though.
After a year, right? But don't get me wrong. These other teams ain't going to be coming there just to take part, mate. Liverpool are not going to just turn up there and go, oh, right, we've seen how good Arsenal are.
I totally agree.
Well, we're going to stand back and just do nothing. And people discount Newcastle, right? And they do. And I look at Newcastle, and that's the team I fear the most. If everyone.
They aren't going to come above Arsenal next season.
Because the reason why I say that is because Newcastle will progress at a stage where it would only be a matter of time before they start entering the conversation. Well, it will be.
Eventually,
do you know what I'm saying? But what Newcastle have done in 12 months to what Arsenal have done in what? How long has Arteta been there? 3.5 years? He's been there. Yes, he's been there.
But
you can't judge it like that.
They had no European football, so like
that's
a huge factor.
What Newcastle done is brilliant, but Arteta, yes, the league finishes at the start weren't very good, but he stayed confident in what he was doing because he knew in the long term he'd get there. He had to sell. He came into a low block team. He won the FA Cup. Arteta did in his first year at Arsenal, and they played terrible football then. He had two strikers in Aubameyang and Lacazette. He doesn't like playing with two strikers. He played a back five with David Luiz. He had Leno in goal. He had Maitland-Niles at wing back. All of these players he didn't want in his team. So he's pretty much changed the whole team, brought down the average age by about 9 years.
Right.
And they're on an upward curve. I think they're going to keep going. From what I've seen, I think they're a very good football team, and Rice will only make them better.
I've got to disagree, mate. I've got to disagree because I've seen it so many times with Arsenal. Yeah. Listen, I used to live in North London. Yeah. I've got a lot of Arsenal mates, right? And a lot of people, a lot of Arsenal fans who I know who have got their heads screwed on say that Declan Rice is a top class player and is going to benefit them. But they also do understand that Manchester City are a train, and they are a big train, and they're coached by the best man on the planet. And like until Pep is gone out of Manchester, no one's going to touch City. Yeah, especially if Haaland's fit, who's going to score more goals than Haaland? Do you know what I mean? If you've got Kevin De Bruyne and Haaland supplying all the time, it ain't going to happen, mate. Yeah, Arsenal done well last season, but let's see how good they are this season when Manchester United will come strong, Liverpool will come strong. Do you know what I mean? This is you've also hold on. I just want to say this quickly. Yeah, you've also got to look at the late goals that Arsenal scored last season. Yeah, in games. I remember one game against Bournemouth, I think it was. They scored a late goal. Fulham, a late goal. Even against us, they go 1-0 down. They get a stroke of luck, and they managed to spin it around in the second half against us. Yeah, Arsenal scored a lot of late goals. Don't get me wrong, but they did. Let's have it right. When the going got tough, they failed at the LS against us, and they fell apart towards the back end of the season when the going got tough. Now, Declan Rice will go to Arsenal. Yeah. But if you're going there to win trophies, I don't see how they're not going to win the Champions League. That's a definite no-no, yeah, because they've only won one. They've won one European Cup in their history, right?
Yeah, but it doesn't matter. You can't judge.
Well, it does because they've had better players than. Well, of course it does, right? Because when there was the Invincibles, they had some of the best players on the planet playing for Arsenal. And I can say that because I witnessed it live, right? Seeing them players destroy us.
The Invincibles team was obviously better.
And it's a better team, right?
But worse teams than the Invincibles have won the Champions League. So the Champions League isn't always the best team wins it. Like, it's a knockout competition. Inter Milan just reached the final. Chelsea won it in 2021. It's not always the best team that wins it. So you never know in that sort of thing.
I wouldn't like to back them with any pound, pence, or cent going. Right?
For me, if Rice never came out and said what he did about wanting to win trophies, yada yada yada, I would totally agree with you. But the fact that he's come out and he said what he said, I'm not fully on the Arsenal move, but again, just like take away trophies and you look at the team, the starting 11, the ages, potential of everyone there, it makes a lot of sense. But if he wants to win trophies immediately, I don't think it's the right move.
So how long will it be then, Lucas, he does go to Arsenal before he does start winning trophies with Arsenal, in your opinion?
At least another 2 or 3 seasons. And I'm talking I'm talking European Cups, because I do think Arsenal can win another FA Cup or a League Cup.
Right.
Can they win the league? Oh, it's such a tough question because there hasn't been any business started right now. But I don't think they'll win the league or win a European Cup in the next 2 or 3 seasons.
I agree because the reason why I agree with you on that is because when I look at Liverpool had Salah, Mane, Roberto Firmino, which was one of the best front threes in the league, and they only managed to beat Liverpool once to the title, and that was a good front three. Beat Man City to the title, sorry. Yeah. So over consistency, over 38 games, Manchester City are the team. Arsenal are not, because they have got a tendency to go places and fuck it up, in my opinion, where Man City won't. Man City don't lose stupid games. West Ham Online. That's one thing this team don't do.
I wouldn't bet on Arsenal to win the Premier League or Champions League next season. I bet on Man City every time. But for Rice, that's what he's going there to prove. He's going there to prove Arsenal can do it, and he's going to be the main reason for that.
Right. So to sort of move on from this, what did you make of the bid, the first one?
Go ahead, Alf.
I've sort of changed my mind on this. I saw people saying it was insulting. I don't think it was insulting at all. I did say that I thought it was weird that they had a long time planning the bid and then put in that. But from what I've heard, he wants Arsenal. Arsenal actually don't have to panic at the moment because they know Rice wants him. I think they're going to get him for lower than what we think. So bid-wise, I don't think it was that bad looking back.
I completely disagree, but I'm going to hand it over to Lucas. Utterly disagree with you on that one. Right, go on, Lucas. It's an insult. It's an absolute insult. I'll tell you what, I'll go next, yeah? I think it's an absolute insult. Like, this is a player that they want, apparently, yeah? And they go and drop in an £80 million bid over 6 years of instalments. That's an insult. Let's be real. Yeah, if you wanted the player that bad, you'd go and drop in the money to get the player out of West Ham and stop the possibility of other clubs coming in.
Vlasic scored a penalty, by the way.
Eh?
Vlasic has scored a penalty.
Well done. Right. So why didn't they do that? Why didn't they put the bid in and turn around and fucking there you go? Do you know what I'm saying? Because the reason why they didn't was they're taking the piss. No.
Why would they do that? It's because they know that West Ham, we will not get 120 million for Rice. I think we get 100 million at absolute best. And I think they know that. I think they know that Rice wants to go to Arsenal. It's pretty clear he does. And therefore, they don't need to panic and put in a 120 million bid or anything.
Right. I agree with that comment 100%. Spends weeks negotiating the bid to go 30 million under what they want in a payment structure. That's what that we would never accept. So why would you go down that road of taking the piss out of not only us, but out of Deck himself, really, by saying, you know what, we're going to take the piss here, right, and allow other teams to come in, right? And let's be honest here, let's be real when we say this, right? West Ham ain't got to sell Declan Rice. They haven't got to sell Declan Rice. Do you know what I mean? It's because Sullivan wants to sell Declan Rice to get the money.
I think we have got to sell him.
I don't feel... Go on.
I had a good point earlier from behind the scenes. I had a good point. West Ham wouldn't have spent the money they spent last year without thinking they'll get a future sale of Declan Rice for a lot of money.
Is that acceptable, though?
Well, not really, but I think it's the truth.
I agree with you slightly, but I don't think it's acceptable. What about you, Lucas, apart from watching Croatia?
I get why they did it. I mean, that's just like the principles of negotiating. You start low and you work your way up. But I just feel like sometimes you can start a bit low where it is insulting. And I don't the 80 million pound base and then the 10 or 11 add-on, whatever. I don't find that insulting. I find the installments the insulting part. So like I get the business practice of it.
Still short though, Lucas. It's still short of the asking price.
Well, yeah, I know, but like the window just opened. They're not gonna. There's rarely any club in the world, unless it's Man City, that they'll offer the money straight away. So, I mean, I think the installment part is an absolute piss take. But starting at 80. Making the total with bonuses 91. It's opinions, but I don't know. I've always just been with the belief that like it's our asking price. You either pay it or don't. Jog on if you don't.
I don't think Sullivan's going to budge on this, though, mate. There's no way that Sullivan's going to sit there undercut himself, right? Because let's be honest here. If West Ham was to go and sell him next season, what would they get? 60 million.
See, for me, I think it's a win-win. Like, obviously, like we all want 100+ million for Rice, but if you told me we keep him for another season, we do well in Europa League, we finish either close to top half or top half, and then we sell him next season for 50, 60.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be that mad personally, but that's me.
Nor would I.
There's some people that are very fixated on a price. I'm not.
I absolutely agree with you, mate. If West Ham were to keep him, and as Lucas decides to do like a karaoke session, if we keep him, then imagine if we won the Europa League, then we're a Champions League club, and we can do it. That's just whether or not our owners are going to give us the money. So you know what I'm saying. Right. So how much do you reckon he's going to go for if he does go in the end? Numbers.
100.
95 to 100.
Or in total, I'm saying 105. 95 base, 10 add-on, 105.
Yeah, maybe something like that. But I think the add-ons will be quite not quite hard for Arsenal to achieve. So I think it will end up probably being 95.
Right, let's move on to this. Who will be Rice's replacement? Right, gentlemen. WestHamOnline, you're in the know with players. What you're saying about Rice's replacement, mate?
Can't replace Declan Rice because I think we're going to completely change the system. We will never get a player who can do what Rice can do for us. But in terms of getting a defensive midfielder in, which we will have to do, I think we'll get Palhinha. I think Palhinha is a very good player. I think obviously he's defensively unreal, but he's on the ball. He doesn't offer a lot at all, which some people won't be happy with because Souček doesn't offer a lot on the ball either. And I don't think they'd be able to play in the same team together. I think with a player like Palhinha, if you get him for under 50 million, it'd be a good deal because he's so good defensively and he can set the tone for the starting attacks. But anything above 50 million is ridiculous for me because he's just not good enough in possession to warrant that.
So, listen, I think Palhinha's a good player, yeah? But there's one problem with him, yeah? And it is the age factor. I said it earlier on, it doesn't really matter about the age, but it does if you're going to spend 45 million on a player that's got no sell-on value. That is a problem to me because how are you supposed to sort of sell this man on? Like this is his last real big contract before he's slowly going to come down like the road, isn't he? For me, I think Musa is a shout, but he's not the same player. But I like the energy of the kid. I will say that he's young, he's 20, he's a USA international. I think he's a decent player. James Ward-Prowse does not do it for me at all. I will say that. I don't get the hype. I think set pieces he's very good, but we need a proper defensive midfielder. I see some of the lads saying Sangara and Fofana. I'll take either of them all day long. Like we need someone who's going to get the ball and run with it. Like we're going to need a runner from midfield big time. And I don't think Souček or Paqueta. Maybe Paqueta can do it, but we need someone who's going to just like break the lines and go marching through. Lucas, what are you saying on this Declan Rice replacement?
For me, I agree with Alfie. There's no such thing as a Rice replacement. Anyone that thinks they can find a player like Declan Rice or even the same mold, they're lying. They're literally. If we're just talking from a defensive midfield point of view, there is no defensive midfielder like Declan Rice. If he plays as an 8, are there midfielders to his level, his ilk? Absolutely. But for me, my ideal situation, if Rice does get sold, I want a 10, an 8, and a 6. Some people want 2 8s and a 10. Some people want 3 8s. It's their preference. But for me, I want to replace Rice with a true out-and-out 6. And I think Palhinha, I personally am not bothered about sell-on value because of where we are currently right now competing in Europe. I want us to go as far as possible. Do I think there's players out there that are just as good as Palhinha with sell-on value? Probably, but with our scouting, who knows if we'll be able to get them or find them. But I like Palhinha a lot. I think he's fantastic defensively. I think on the ball, I think his ball retention's fine, but it's the passing that you would like to be a bit better, but that's why, like, if you pair Paulinho with, in my opinion, I like James Ward-Prowse a lot. I think a midfield three of Prowse, Paulinho, and Paqueta would be really good. But if you pair Paulinho with an 8 that's a very good passer, very good on the ball, and you let Paqueta just do the work, let him cook, I think we'll be fine. So, and I do like Yunus Musa, but he's an 8. He can't be a 6, and he's not like he's not good enough defensively to be that 8 that has to do more defending than going forward, in my opinion. But yeah, it's really just preference, because, like, again, I want a 6 to replace Rice, and I want my midfield 3 to be a 6, 8, and a 10.
Can I ask you something? Why you rate James Ward-Prowse?
I just think he's proven it at Southampton. They've always been shit. And if he went to a much better club, I think he would shine, and people would, like, rate him. I just feel like when he's played at Southampton for so long and he's been surrounded by shit and he's the shining light, it makes, I think it's common sense to me, if you put him in a better side, he's gonna be better.
I disagree. I really do.
What don't you like about him?
I think you take away the free kicks and all that, he's a bang average player. 100%. Take away the free kicks, and what he does, and people have got the audacity to criticise Ben Rama on his set pieces, but then they want to go and bring in a set piece merchant.
But James, you
like, it just makes no sense to me.
Rama can only take penalties. James Ward-Prowse can do the whole lot.
On the flip side, you can't defend for scoring penalties, but then you've just said,
but he can't. You've got there's other players out there who you can go out and find younger and who are more hungry than James Ward-Prowse. I think James Ward-Prowse is I look at him like I look at Conor Gallagher to a point. I really do. Like when you look at Conor Gallagher, would you have Conor Gallagher at West Ham? Used to.
It depends. Again, it depends on what your preference of a midfield 3. So for me, Conor Gallagher is like the 8. I wouldn't mind him, but James Ward-Prowse has the same exact engine that Conor Gallagher has. Conor Gallagher has a bit more pace, but he cannot pass the ball like James Ward-Prowse. James Ward-Prowse is a way better passer of the ball than Conor Gallagher.
So if that's the case, why has no one else picked him up? Let's be honest.
James Ward-Prowse?
Yeah.
Because the asking price is a bit high for a relegated player.
It's because he's 28 years old, I think he is, and people ain't prepared to pay 45 to 50 million for a player who's really, that's going to be his next club, or probably his final club before his career goes down on the decline.
But then again, you got to look at the Premier League. There's a lot of clubs that already have, like, good midfielders.
But wouldn't you rather young players, like Alfie praises Arteta to the hill, like it's like he's an Arsenal fan, right? But why can't West Ham go out and sign some younger players who are more hungry? Like, listen, if Musa was to come to West Ham, I'll be all for that.
I want good players. Me personally, I just want good players. I don't care if they bring a sell-on value. Like James Ward-Prowse, to me, like I get that you don't rate him, but to me, he's a good player. I think 40 million is a bit much, but he's a good player, Premier League experience. He's a captain. He's been there, done that. You buy him, you know exactly what you're getting. Yunus Musa never played in the Prem. He's good internationally, but the international game is so slow.
But he has played British football, though, mate. But Musa, listen, when I look at Musa, he was a trainee at Arsenal.
Premier League.
Right, he hasn't played in the Premier League, granted. Right, but if you're going for a 20-year-old American international, who has played in La Liga for a decent side in Valencia. Valencia are a no mug side. Yeah,
terrible.
I would take the risk on him rather than James Ward-Prowse, because I look at Musa and think there's development there all day long. In Ward-Prowse, he's at his peak. He ain't going to get any better. In my opinion, he's not going to get any better. This is his level. So if you think he's going to come here and just transform us, and let's be honest, next season we're going to be fighting on 4 fronts. So we should be going for players who are hungry to wear the shirt, right? Do you know what I mean? Like people say about Danny Ings, for crying out loud. Danny Ings comes to West Ham, we throw a load of money at him, he's useless. Right? There's no guarantees that James Ward-Prowse will do the same, in my opinion. What do you want to say, Elf?
I agree, but I think the fixation on buying players that have a sell-on value, I don't agree.
Go on, Elf.
Ward-Prowse, I think the set pieces is the main reason I'd be interested in him, and the reason why I say that is because in a Moyes team, corners and free kicks are one of the main ways we get our goals. And in my opinion, you're genuinely signing the best set piece taker in the world if you bring in Ward-Prowse, apart from maybe Messi. His overall game, I do agree, it's not that great, and I definitely wouldn't prioritise signing him. Certainly wouldn't pay above 35 million for him either.
I totally agree with that.
Yeah, but I would rather him than someone like Musa, who I don't really know I've not watched enough of him, admittedly, this Musa, but I think Ward-Prowse would affect the way we play a lot more. And I also would be quite happy to see Pablo Fornals get some games in the 8th position this season.
But this is what I don't understand. This is what I don't understand with some fans. I really don't. They cry out for younger players. We get linked with a younger player, but then you want to go for a 28-year-old, 29-year-old who's been there and done it. Like you can't have it both ways. I just don't get the argument. I really don't. And it baffles me. Like James Ward-Prowse, yes, he's a very, very good set piece taker. Very good at corners, very good at set pieces. But what you just said there is he does not do the basics very well. Right, we need a defensive midfielder. We need someone who's going to break up the play. He ain't going to break the play up, mate.
Yeah, I mean, again, it depends on what you want. Like, do I want James Ward-Prowse to be the Rice replacement? No.
Oh no. I meant get Ward-Prowse if we get Paulinho as well. He's certainly not playing as a defensive midfielder. That's not what I meant.
Because in my opinion, I genuinely believe if you had a midfield 3, Paulinho at the 6, James Ward-Prowse at the 8, Paqueta at the 10. Paqueta's going to do all the work. Like, he's going to want the ball all the time. And you give James Ward-Prowse time on the ball after Paqueta lays it off to him to ping a pass, play someone through, and he's not going to be on the ball all the time. I think that would be absolutely lovely.
Mm.
And he's got an elite work rate.
Yeah, well, anyone else that you guys are interested in West Ham looking at?
I'll tell you who I'm not. Edson Alvarez. He is absolute shit. He's terrible.
You're not a fan?
No, he's horrid. He's terrible on the ball. He's a decent defender. He was so bad against the United States. He was really, really bad. And as much as I do love the U.S. and Croatia, if you can't do it against the U.S., in my opinion, even though I do rate us, if you can't do it against the U.S., you're not doing it against anyone. He's shit.
I would, looking at targets, I'm not really sure who we could get in the 8th position. Well, I agree with Lucas. I wouldn't get Edson Alvarez in. I'd rather Paulinho than Alvarez.
See, that's the thing. Like Alfie, this is a question for both of you. Do you want to replace Declan Rice with a 6 or an 8?
6.
I don't think you can. I just think it's a case of buy a 6 and an 8. I think it's like.
I think if West Ham can go out and spend between 40 and 50 million on a 6, I'll be happy.
You know, someone I would really, really like, but I think he's going to Liverpool is Kefren Turam. I think he's excellent, and he would be.
He's good. Yeah.
He is such to me that would be the perfect signing in terms of a Rice replacement. He's good, young. He will have sell-on value. And I think as much as I shit on the French league, because I really do think it's absolute pony. I think the clubs are pony, but the talent is very good. So I think Thuram would slot in perfectly. And I see Romeo Lavia in here.
Yeah.
He's I would not spend 50 million pound, 45 million pound on him personally. I'd rather have Paulinho.
I don't get it. I really don't. I really don't get it.
He was not that great. In my opinion, he was not as good as what everyone was saying he was at Southampton. And if you pay 45 million pound, you are banking on him to be the guy.
But then
Paulinho is already proven. He's shown it. I know he's old, but he's a good player who fits in immediately, helps us in Europe, helps us in the league. Lavia could be a total bust.
Right, but the problem is with that, and this is where I go back to the youth, If you go for him, he's got potential. James Ward-Prowse and Paulinho
What
are
do you
at that
think's the
level
bigger
now.
risk, though?
I think you could sell on Lavia for a lot more money than what we get him for.
Even if he's 100%. Shit?
I don't. Well, is he shit? Would you say he's shit?
No, but I'm saying, but what if he is? He's not going to be worth anything.
Yeah, but it's like anything. It's like saying, what if Declan Rice didn't get his opportunity to play in a West Ham shirt? Like, you just don't know. Like, you've got to go with younger players. And this is the problem
I respect if you're a risk taker, but if you, in my opinion, if you think, let's just say, do you like Romeo Lavia?
I think he's a decent player, but I want to see West Ham go for younger players.
Who's your ideal replacement then?
Sangara. I see someone mention it in there from PS.
So,
I think it's
so this comes to my question. You think
Fafana for me? I do like him and all.
I think Paulinho is not a sure thing, but I think he's the safest bet.
Yeah, but this is where I feel West Ham go wrong. Yeah. Why should West Ham be having safe bets? West Ham are in the Europa League next season. We should be going out.
A really good safe bet. Paulinho was amazing last season.
I don't know, mate. See, I look at it a bit different. Right? I think he's a decent player.
Outside the big six, who was better than him besides Declan Rice?
Well, he's a decent player. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying any different, but is he worth the money to go out and pay and use a big chunk of Declan's money on him?
I think he's worth anywhere from 40 to 50. Anything above 50, I don't agree.
So if you had a choice between Lavia or Paulinho, you'd go for Paulinho.
What's the number we're saying? 45, 50, 40?
Like, if they're both 45 million each,
I'd give me Paulinho.
Oh my God.
On that one, I've agreed with Lucas on everything so far. But on that one, I'm going to have to strongly disagree. I think Lavia is the better player than Paulinho. And
fuck me, you agreeing with me, brother? What?
No, I am. Yeah, on this one, I am. I think Lavia is a very good talent. Is he 20? Is he only 20, or maybe even 19?
I think he's young. I know he's young. I don't think he's any. I'm not even sure how old he is.
He's way better he's way better on the ball as well than Paulinho. I think if let's say we sack Moyes, say everything goes wrong and we sack Moyes in 2 months, at least with Lavia, if we bring in a possession-based manager, he's capable of playing like that. If we bring in a possession-based manager after Moyes, then we've spent 50 million on a 27-year-old Paulinho who
is
19.
He's 19 years old.
Yeah, he's unbelievable for 19.
Well, this is what I can't understand. Like, you've got a geezer who's 10 years younger, and people will go for the more experienced geezer. And do you know what I mean? Listen, I can accept certain players,
I'm going for proven.
Yeah, but Danny Ings is proven. He's a proven Premier League player.
That's different. That's such a different case. That's such a different case. Like, we're picking. We didn't really pick Danny Ings. We had to sign him. Right.
When we signed Danny Ings, the only one that I remember who said it was a bad sign was Elfie. Right. We all thought, you know what, ain't bad. 15 million, ain't bad. Like, the wages are a bit strong, but it is what it is. Like,
it's not a good signing, but it's about the circumstance and the situation. If we didn't sign Danny Ings, we had one striker, and if that one striker goes down, we're done. We had to sign him. Did I want Danny Ings? Absolutely not. But we really had no choice.
Yeah, but the problem is, this is where I think sometimes we do go wrong. Right? West Ham need to be buying younger so they can do like what Brighton do. Yeah, because if a player, listen, West Ham ain't going to get 100 million again for another player at the club right now. Right? You're not going to get it for Lucas Paqueta, even though Lucas Paqueta is a very good player. I don't think he's going to ever hit that margin.
No
but
way.
If you start going down the younger route, like I like Alex Scott at Bristol City. I think he's an excellent player. Right? I think he's going to be going for big things in the future. Right? I'd love West Ham to sign in. I want West Ham to go younger and like people who are hungry. Do you know what I mean? And not people who are sort of there for the pound note, basically. Do you know what I'm saying?
I like hungry players too, but that doesn't translate to them being better just because you're hungry.
I also think
it does, doesn't it?
some players are.
Conor Gallagher's hungry. He has one of the best work rates in the Premier League, but he's not that great.
But is Conor Gallagher right? If you've got two players, right, you've got Lavia, who I think is a decent player. Well, I think he's a very good player. I think he's worth the risk more than Conor Gallagher is.
Oh yeah,
100%.
I would have thought. I agree. I agree
right?
with that.
So if he's worth more the risk, why would you go for someone who you go, oh, he's a safe bet for now, but if it goes wrong, then it's a flop massively.
Well, I don't prefer Conor Gallagher over Lavia. I prefer Paulinho over Lavia.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. So you've got Paulinho, who's, fair enough, he's had a good season with Fulham, right? Yeah. But you're going to go and drop 45, 50 million, yeah? Because Fulham have got him on a 5-year contract, yeah? So he ain't going to get out of Fulham without them getting the right money for him.
I agree. I have a limit. I have a limit on him. Like I said, but I think, and if we're comparing Lavia and Paulinho, I just think Paulinho is a better player, and I think he's worth the money more. I think he's a better player right now.
See, I see something in the comments there about risky signings. Is Lavia a risky signing? Really?
No, I think every signing is a risk, but at the same time, like, does it intrigue me that he's 19 and he's as good as he is right now? Yes, but I don't know. I don't think he's as good as Paulinho yet. Can he be? Absolutely, but I'm a safe bet guy, and I just think Paulinho is a better player, and he's proven it at Fulham. And I know people are saying, yes, he had one good season at Fulham, but it's Fulham. Like, if you've done the business for Fulham this season, I believe he can go on literally to any other club in the Prem and do exactly what he did this season.
What do you want to say, Alf?
I disagree with that because I think Lavia is definitely a better player than Paulinho, in my opinion. And the reason why
but then again, as a 8 or a 6, like,
well, I just think if you're comparing players, which one of them two could play for a top side? Lavia's good on the ball. He can turn with the ball.
But it depends, though. Like, if we're just saying, is he a better footballer than Paulinho? Does he have more attributes? I'd agree with you.
But he's got more potential, Lucas.
Come on, we all know the answer to that.
Oh, so if you're going to pay, he's 19. If you're going to pay 40 million for Lavia, all right, I can accept that because he's a 19-year-old lad.
I don't want to buy a player on potential. I want to buy a player that's good.
But there's no guarantee that player's going to be good, though, is it? Because you can say Danny Ings was good, but he's not, is he? He's fucking shit. So, like,
in this current moment, Paulinho has more of a resume than Lavia.
So, okay, then let's just say this: Alex Scott at Bristol City is a highly rated youngster, right? He's 19 years old, I think he is.
He's also only going for 25 million pounds compared to Lavia, who will go for 50.
Jude Bellingham was at Birmingham City, yeah? Borussia Dortmund took the risk on getting Jude Bellingham, right? They didn't worry about how old he was. Peanuts, from what I remember. I think it's about 25.
That's the thing.
22 million they paid.
22 million, right?
Yeah,
now,
peanuts.
To stand back and go, oh, you don't know whether he's going to be a success or not. Any signings can be a flop, but there's nothing worse than getting a signing that everyone's saying is good in the Premier League. They're going to be expecting that next season.
Yeah,
and
but
more.
There's a difference between a 15 to 25 million pound risk to 40 to 50. It's a big difference. If we paid 50 million pound for Lavia, I expect him to come in and do the business.
I think he would.
Yeah,
Fuck. I think 50 million.
What is so hard to comprehend?
Right, Lucas Paqueta come to the Premier League this season. Yeah, he did not start off well, but he ended fucking brilliantly. Right now, he is a 50 million pound player, in my opinion. You look at him, you think, yeah, you can see what you're buying. Next season, he's going to be a very, very good player. There is no shadow of doubt in my mind that you cannot bring in Lavia, put him into this side, and say in a year's time that this geezer is going to be fucking cooking all day long. Yeah. When I look at Paulinho, right, you sign him, you're expecting him to be like Fulham from last season, this season with West Ham, plus with a big price tag. If he don't perform, every West Ham, not every West Ham fan, I really say that, you will turn around and say, well, he's a bit flopped.
The difference, you're using Lucas Paqueta as an example. He didn't play in the Prem previously.
Right, but that's what I'm saying. So Lavia is. And
Lavia's had a year of Premier League experience at a shitty club, which you got a lot of minutes. And I'm not going to judge him on how he played at Southampton because I think that's really unfair because they were absolutely diabolical. So that's different. Like Paqueta never played in the Prem. Lavia and Palhinha have played a full year in the Prem. So my standard and expectation, it would be different than Paqueta.
Oh, I've got to disagree. I think West Ham should go down the younger route. I will say that, and just have young, hungry players. Do you know what I'm saying? Need some fucking runners in this team, and we've got too many slow players in this team. I know what Charlie's saying in the chat, but Paladino is slow as fuck. And if he's on the ball,
it depends on what you want. Like, in your opinion, do you want 2 8s and a 10, or a 6 8 and a 10? What do you want? 3 8s?
I want a top class 6. Someone who can sit in front of the back 4 and go, right, this is my territory. Be on your way.
Then why would you want Lavia instead of Palhinha?
Because Lavia's got potential, bruv. He's got potential. Like, I'm not being funny or nothing. Top clubs are looking at this kid. Now, these are no mugs. Like, these top clubs ain't looking at him and going, fuck me, we're going to leave it because we're going to go for Palhinha. Do you know what I mean? They're looking at Lavia and thinking, 19 years old, yeah, what's he going to be like in fucking 5 years' time at 24? Like,
yeah, I think we should really move on from this one because I think we all have got our points. But I think Lavia is a sort of no-brainer signing if it popped up, but it won't. I think he'll go to one of them.
I would not scoff at the signing of Lavia because I do think he's, for his age, a good player, and he does have a load of potential.
Where does he go for you, Alf? Before I move on,
I actually think he'll go to Arsenal as well as Rice.
Blimey, fair enough. We move on. Who's next to wear the armband? The captain's armband. This is a big question. Do we need to buy a player to come to West Ham to be the captain, which I totally disagree with, 100%. I don't think we should buy a captain because they've got to be at the club, they've got to be associated with the club for a long period of time or a significant period of time. Or is there anyone in the team who you think should be captain? Take it away, gentlemen.
You want to know Alf, you want to go first?
Yeah, go on then. My captain would be Aaron Creswell. I think he's done a great job at the club. The way he supported Emerson after the final was incredible. He was crying. You can tell he cares so much. I think he done a great job of giving Emerson the motivation for the match when he could have just dropped because we all expected Creswell to start, but he didn't. For me, that showed real. You could see how much Creswell cared on that night, and I think that's put him higher up in a lot of fans' expectations. He certainly should be here. The Creswell hate's weird. It's so strange. I don't know why people don't like him. Even if you don't rate him anymore, he's done a great job for the club. And
agreed.
I'd definitely have him or Ogbonna as the captain.
Right. So you've just named 2 people that shouldn't be on the pitch for West Ham in the starting 11.
Yeah.
See, I was going to say.
Well, because Mark Noble won on the pitch last year and he was the captain.
Right. It makes no sense, mate.
What do you mean?
Go on, Lucas. It makes no sense. Makes no sense. Right, I tell you what, it does not make no fucking sense. Right. First off, Emerson should be our left back for next season. If not, or go and buy another left back. Right. Second off, you need a captain who's going to be on the pitch for the majority of the season. There is only about 2 or 3 players who can do that. Do you know what I mean? It's either going to be Zuma, unless he don't get injured. Aguerd, who I think is captain material. I see him at Morocco. I think he's excellent. If Lucas Paqueta is learning to speak English, I'd give it to him all day long.
No,
right. Other than that, who else is there? Kera?
Can't give it to Paqueta. He don't come off as a leader at all.
For me, it is a tricky question because of what you all said. Like the way I would answer this question, it's going to be a literal hierarchy. So, like, in my opinion, Cresswell is next in line to be club captain, and then vice captain will be Ogbonna. But we don't have an on-field captain yet, and it all depends. Like, you could see Fabianski depending on his situation.
Oh yeah.
Souček has captained his country numerous times. In my personal opinion, and again, I don't care if anyone disagrees with this or not. In my opinion, I think you need a bit of a head case as your captain, someone that gets the boys up when they're looking just dead tired. They look out of it. You need someone to get them up. Me personally, I think Vladimir Coufal is such a head case. I think he could motivate players on the pitch if something were to happen, and his English isn't too bad. Is that a popular decision? No. But again, you got to think about who's going to be on the pitch. So for me, Cresswell's the club captain. Ogbonna will be vice captain. And then really it's a toss-up. I don't like my goalkeepers being captain, so I take Fabianski out, and my personal choice would be Coufal.
For me, it has to be Aguerd. It has to be. Because, listen, if you get someone alongside Aguerd, he's a quality player. The problem is with Zuma is he gets injured a hell of a lot. And that's where West Ham need to
Zuma wouldn't be a terrible shout either. We don't have a lot of bad shouts, in my opinion, to be club captain. But again, at the end of the day, you got to pick someone that's going to be on the pitch 80% of the time.
Well, he's a starter, isn't he?
Yeah.
Now, for Greg, he's a starter every single game. When you're picking your team right now, he is one of the men that you pick straight away. Do you know what I'm saying? He's in there. I see someone saying about Bowen. The only problem is with Bowen is when he's got something on his shoulders, i.e., like when he had England on his shoulders, he wasn't the same player. And I wouldn't want to give him the captaincy to have that big weight on his shoulders.
And the only reason I said Coufal is because he has been here for a good amount of time. I don't disagree entirely with the Aguerd shout, but I mean, him only being here a year does sway my decision a bit. But it's tough because if Declan Rice goes, we haven't really had anyone here that's been here for a very long time that's going to be on the pitch consistently.
The only one who's been here a long time is Fab, really. And Cresswell, but Cresswell.
But again, you got to think about who's going to be on the pitch. I don't think Aaron Cresswell, in my opinion, if he's a starter next season, I don't know.
West Ham
that's a topic for another day.
One thing I will say is West Ham do need a captain that's going to be on the pitch every game. Yeah, who's going to lead the boys.
I'd have Cresswell starting next year and starting as captain.
Why would you have that now? Because he's not a good left back.
I think he is.
Why?
Because I watch him play and I think he's a good left back.
But is he the one to progress us forward? Or is he just at West Ham for the English quota?
Depends what you define as forward. I don't think we're going to go. Nothing will beat the Conference League win for me. It really does depend what you define as forward.
Well,
is he good enough to start?
Define as forward is winning Europa League, Alf.
Yeah, he could definitely start in the Europa League winning team.
Yeah, he ain't starting, mate. Because I'm not being funny. I think in the biggest game in West Ham's recent history, he's sitting on the bench and Emerson plays.
Yeah.
So I just don't see how he starts next season. Cresswell shouldn't be captain. Always sentimental stuff. It should be players who are a lot better than him.
So how about this? Alf? So Fever's going with Aguerd. I'm going with Coufal. If Cresswell and Ogbonna are not playing, and obviously like Ariel Fabianski, that's going to be a 50-50 going into the summer off season, as I call it. Who would be your on pitch captain?
If he's starting, and I know people are going to hate this because they hate him as a player, but if he's playing and Cresswell and that on, I'd have Thomas Souček wearing the armband. I think he's worn it for his country. I think he's worn it for Slavia Prague. I think he's a good guy for the dressing room. I think he's a leader. I know people don't rate him, which is fair enough. I'm not his biggest fan as a footballer, but I think he's captain material. And let's not forget, people were actually saying he should be the next captain when he was in form.
I think it's obvious. I think it's obvious that he's captain material, but it's a bold shout in my opinion.
He's not captain material, mate, because he goes missing in games.
Well, that's a lie. He is captain material.
He's not
if he wasn't captain material, why is he captain for Czech Republic?
Yeah, but I can name like a few players who captain their countries. Doesn't mean to say they're fucking good players for their teams. Do you know what I'm saying?
He just hasn't.
Captain
He's captain
shouldn't be the best
for.
player, in my opinion.
Right, I'm not being funny. Like, you're going to bring him in to be captain, but there's games before this last season where he's gone missing.
I'll be
He goes
reading his
missing.
next year, if Souček's captain, I'll be buying the programme and reading his captain notes.
Used to trolling, bruv. 100%.
Seriously.
Chatting. These are absolutely chatting some fun.
The captain you picked has gone missing plenty of times.
No, for
What makes
Guedes,
him captain material?
We're getting to make about 80 mistakes.
How many mistakes has Souček made?
Less than a Guedes.
Or do you want me to count them for
you? Argument done, because we'll go in circles. My choice has gone. Actually, no, he hasn't gone missing. He's just dropped stinkers. So
you got. There's only really. See, Kafal is an interesting one, but it's yet again on the right hand side. Who's going to be the natural right back?
If I had to put my money on it, I'm going Fabianski.
I think what you're getting with Souček as well is everyone at the club, bar the fans, want him to be there. The players love him. The true fans adore him. I think you're looking at a real man here who could be a captain for West Ham.
He is an absolute man. I agree.
Oh, mate, I can't.
Is he a man of football? I don't know, but I do love him as a man.
He's definitely not captain material, but
you can't say that. Stop saying that. You can't say that. It's a lie.
100%, mate. He's 100% not a captain for me. Yeah, because he goes missing too many times in games. I need someone to inspire the team to victory, and he's not a man who inspires the team to victory, mate. He's a man that can't control a ball. He gets done on the press all the time. Declan Rice got him out of so much shit while he was here. Let's be real.
Guedes made about 87 mistakes. That's not inspiring the team.
Yeah, well, he hasn't made 87 mistakes, Alf. Do you know what I'm saying? But there's also been times where Guedes saved West Ham on numerous occasions. Right,
I rate Guedes, but he's made an unbelievable amount of mistakes, and if he does that again next year, he's straight out the door. The amount of mistakes he's made is disgusting, to be honest.
I want my captain to be inspiring. That's what I want my captain to be. And I think, in my opinion, Soufal, with the way he is, he's an absolute nut job all the time. He's got crazy eyes. He runs around like a chicken with his head cut off. I think he's the most inspiring.
I agree with Joe there. He doesn't go missing in games, James. He doesn't even come out the change rooms for games. Totally agree with you, mate.
Richard B has just completely contradicted himself. He said Souček shouldn't be captain, essentially, because he's crap. And now he's saying captaincy or mistakes is performance related, not captain related. So why is Souček not captain then?
Because he makes a lot of mistakes, Alf. And he listen. When you look at Thomas Souček, do you see an inspiring leader there? Do you see someone who's going to grab the team and team it down?
An inspiring leader in anyone in our team.
I don't know about that, man.
I actually agree to a point, because we've been talking about it now for 10, 15 minutes. There's no real nailed on option.
Yeah.
Unless Cresswell is starting next season, which, again, questions will have to be asked, in my opinion, if he is starting next season. But if he is, he's 1,000% captain. But in my opinion, I don't see him, Ogbonna, or Fabianski starting next season. So Soufal, my answer.
If it ain't no one from the team, do West Ham buy a captain?
No. Yeah. I can't be bothered to just go. Okay.
Yeah.
It's not that important who wears the armband. Obviously, it matters, but you get captains who aren't wearing the armband. It's about being group camaraderie. You've got Kevin Nolan as well in the changing room. He's like a captain off the pitch. So I don't think it's as important as people make out just because they're. I don't know
WestHamOnline. I don't know, mate. Like, you're making it like it ain't a big old deal, but when the going gets tough, we've needed Declan Rice to be the captain, but we need him to get us out of shit. Like, do you know what I mean? And get the boys together. Like, when you're on the pitch and like in the heat of the battle, you're going to need a captain there, ain't you? Surely.
No, we need one, but we have got some. We don't need to go and buy one.
Yeah. Well, I do agree with that.
I agree with that.
Right, that is it from them. Any final questions, lads, that you've got? Any questions you want to fire at me, at yourselves, or at the chat? Anything you want to say? Go ahead, mate.
Would you all be happy if next season we came 17th, but won the Europa League?
Yes.
No. For me.
How come? Why would you not be happy?
The reason why is there is no excuses for Moyes next season now. Yeah, this season you can let it go with the sort of with the conference, yeah, because we did have a few dolly games in there. Like the Cypriot side was like a piece of piss. Let's be real. Next season, I expect West Ham to be in the top 10. I really do.
But
and
we'd be in the Champions League if we won that.
I understand that, but you're putting all your hopes and dreams into winning a competition, which is going to be a lot harder. There's going to be a lot more better teams in it.
No, but this is a guarantee. This is what Alfie's asking is a guarantee.
Yeah, it's guaranteed. We won it. We've beaten Sevilla 3-1 in the final. They've dropped down. Moyes is running around the pitch again.
I think West Ham have got to progress in the league. I really do. Like, don't get me wrong. 17th is not a good look. Like, I understand what you're saying, right, about it, but it's like it's a hope and dream. West Ham should be finishing at least in the top 10 and getting to the final of the Europa League. Why should West Ham have to sacrifice the league for the Europa League? That's the question I will fire back at you. But why should we? Do you know what I mean? We've done it this year.
We're losing our best player.
Right.
We've already got a squad which I don't think we should be finishing 17th, don't get me wrong, but we're going to be playing harder football this year in Europe. We're going to be playing Europa League football, which is harder than the conference. So I think it'll be even harder in terms of squad rotation and stuff like that. I wouldn't be surprised if we don't get top 10 again. Definitely not.
I'm going to be honest with you, right? I looked at them fixtures the other day, and I think Moyes could be in trouble before Christmas, mate. If I'm being honest.
That's no joke. I think he'll be all right because I've got a banner ready. We're going to put it around the Billy Bonds stand. Just got the picture of Moyes and his dad. So what I'm hoping is it inspires players and the
from
fans.
Afar.
Yeah.
See, this is the thing. I agree with what James says here, all the way from Australia. Yeah, we are better than 17. We should be aiming for top 10. I agree with you, James. Like, I don't understand why people keep having to sacrifice the league, right, all the time. Like, I understand we're going to lose Declan Rice, but we're not losing Declan Rice for 5 million. We're losing him for 100 million. So as long as Moyes uses that money wisely and goes out and buys 5 or 6 players, that's going to strengthen
some
his
of
side.
that will be going back into the club. Some of that 100 million because Sullivan spent a lot last year.
But we also did win the conference last year, which we got TV revenue. So, and we are in the Europa League. So I do expect West Ham to spend the same amount of money this season. But if West Ham don't spend of the equivalent of 165 million or up, then that's a problem. That's a problem. Let's be honest. Because then what are we aiming for, right? When this little journey of European football runs out, then what's the aim? Oh, we're going to try and finish 10th every season. Like, it shouldn't be like that. It shouldn't be like that.
I agree, but with the question asked, with the question Alfie asked, I will 1,000% take another trophy and not get relegated.
Moyes has proven in his time at West Ham that he's that guy. He's unbelievable.
Well, I'm going to spin it back on yous now. I'm going to spin the question back on yous. If we finish 17th and win the Europa League, will Moyes be here to win the Europa League? Because now that's where I do 100% disagree with you. Because if West Ham are fighting relegation, because that's what it will be, we'll be fighting relegation. There's no way Moyes will have another state of execution here. Not a chance.
Back the manager is what I say.
There's no guarantee of backing the manager though. Right? If you finish 17th.
What if I've got the banner up?
What happens if that happens? Lucas?
I send another email like I did this year to the club saying back the manager. We're going to win the Europa League.
What are you saying, Lucas? I'm not listening to Al because Al's talking bollocks.
Well,
he's tired.
What was the question one more time? So I'm not.
But the question is, it's okay finishing 17th and winning the Europa League, but will Moyes be here to see it? Because if we go down the route we went down last season and we're fighting relegation again, he won't last this season the way he did last season. That's a very good
question because he is on the last year of his contract.
They do.
If we were to sack him and buy him out, it wouldn't be as expensive as it would have been last season. Would he be here? Oh, that's a good question. I would probably say, again, it depends on the type of person you are. Like, he done it once. Can he do it again? I'm a believer. I think he could do it again. But if someone were to say no, I wouldn't entirely disagree.
I'm going to say this before I hand it over to Alfie, because I know Alfie's just going to ramble on about banners and shit. I don't think Moyes lasts the season next season. Right, from what I've looked at the fixtures, someone said to me the other day, they said, "You see the fixtures, James?" I said, "Yeah." And they turned around and said to me and said, "With them fixtures the way they are compressed, especially towards the back end of the season, do you really want to be going into your last 4 games against Chelsea, Liverpool? I think it's Chelsea, Man City, Liverpool, and Luton, right? Which are like big games, especially like for us." I don't think Moyes is going to last here, mate, because I think if it goes down the way it went last season, fans will get hostile. But the Conference League will be a distant memory if we're fighting relegation again next season. It will be. It's a fact. Because once we kick off on August the 12th, I think it is, yeah, it's a new season, right? Last season's gone. It's all about 2023, 24. So I don't know why, but if they don't sort Moyes' contract, I think it's a dangerous game at the start anyway, for giving him a lot of money and not backing the man. I will say that. And I also do think it's a dangerous game if it goes wrong, and we sack him, and then we're fucking scrambling around next season. Do you know what I mean? I do fear for this season coming up. I will say that. But that's just me. Right, let's get to this from Stevie. Stevie Bell, great chat tonight, lads. Steve Bell, $4.99. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Steve. Thanks. Much appreciated.
Alf, what do you want to say about that before we wrap this up?
When we sack Moyes, if we sack Moyes, I hope that the fans give him all the respect he deserves, even if we last in the league, because he won us a trophy. He's done his job now. For me,
right,
whatever happens last season in regards to his legacy is irrelevant. He's a West Ham legend for me forever. But what I will say is I do really agree with Lucas's point regarding the 1 year left in his contract, less compensation money and stuff like that. If he goes for a bad run in the first 6 or 7 games, which the fixtures aren't great, so it's very possible, I wouldn't be surprised if we pulled the trigger, which I think would be a bit unfair at that point.
Yeah, I am, mate. Let's see what Snazzy's got to say. Jimbo, are you dipping into the transfer market for a new panelist for next season? For next year? I hear Nick contract's up in a few months. Yeah, I know, mate. I know. I'm looking for new panelists every day, mate. I will say that. For me, if he goes down the route that he's going to go down next season, that I believe it could do, if we don't sign these right players in and sort of boost us up, I fear it could be the same thing again next season. The only thing I will say is, people will say this same excuse. You've got to give him time. Look what he done last season in the conference. That's what they will be saying. That will be the line that they come out with.
Yeah, absolutely.
So for me, if West Ham finish 17th next season and win something, then great. But it's still not good. It's still not good because where's the progression? Like you can win something.
But from conference winners to Europa League winners.
I don't know about that, Alf, but that's like a 1 in sort of 1,000 chance for me. West Ham winning the Europa League is a lot different to West Ham winning the Conference League. I believe we would win the Conference League at the start of the season. I believe we would win the Conference League after the Manchester United game.
So let's believe we can win the Europa League. But
the difference is, when I believed in all these things, we wasn't getting rid of our best player at the club. So, it is what it is. Right.
That's why we're still here, James.
I know, mate. I know. For now, only because the English quota. You know what I mean? But it's what it is. Anyway,
English.
Yeah, well, I'm gonna wrap it up there. Please do smash a like on the video and please do subscribe to the channel if you're new around here. I'll be back during the week to talk about anything sort of transfer related. Anything happens with Dec, I'll let you know. Wherever Declan Rice goes, I wish him all the best, but I just hope he don't go to Arsenal, in my opinion. I really don't. I don't think his fans appreciate their fans appreciating that much, and I think they will easily love him, but they will as easily love him as they will hate him.
I wish him nothing but the worst if he goes to Arsenal.
Yeah. I don't want him to go to Arsenal at all. I really don't. For me, I want him to go to Manchester City, where he goes under the best manager on the planet and the best team, and to go and win stuff. And nothing will give me greater pleasure that West Ham are in 10th next season, looking forward to a Europa League final, and they go to the Etihad on the last day, and Declan Rice lifts that Premier League title. That is what I'm saying. Yeah, I don't want him to go to Arsenal because
as long as he doesn't go to Tottenham, I hope he wins everything.
Yeah. Well, no one's going there at the minute. Do you know what I mean? But it's what it is. Anyway, I'm going to leave it at that, people, and I will see you again in the next one.